I've said it before and I'll say it again. Men are a net negative.
Hey ladies, welcome back to my channel. It's London Lamborghini, and in today's video we have an awesome TikTok compilation from Cecilia Regina on TikTok. I know a lot of you don't have TikTok, but this TikTok page is crucial and vital to watch if you want to get married someday, because she talks about men, the psychology of men, she deconstructs the behaviors of men, and she details out things to look for in a relationship and red flags to identify in relationships. So sit back, enjoy the video, and don't forget to take notes.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Men are a net negative. In other words, in the natural course of life, if you as a straight woman date a straight man, your life is already getting worse according to every measure. Science says you end up doing more housework, your health gets worse, you make less money, you're less happy, and more burdened. Okay, that's in the ordinary course of a relationship with a man. So unless a man is actively doing measurable things to make your life better, you should not be dating him. Finances are just the minimum. It's minimum. It's not even equitable if he's paying for everything, because that's just offsetting the burden he is bringing into your life. According to science, because this is Psychology Today, this is American Scientific, these are the big science names that are telling you that marriage is shortening your lifespan as a woman, that it is making your life harder than it would otherwise be. So these people are telling you men are adding points of pressure to your life. Let's say a man just coming into a relationship flat is offering 5 points of pressure that you would not otherwise have. It's not enough for him to offset those 5 points of pressure by offering to pay for things and whatnot. He would need to be adding to be worthwhile. So he should be offsetting at least 10 points of pressure, because then you have gained by being with him. And that's the point. A relationship is supposed to make your life better, right? We already know what men are getting out of relationships. That's why married men live longer, are happier, make more money, have better health outcomes. Because it's not a question. Women are adding exponentially to their lives. Women make sure they go to the doctor. Women make sure they eat healthier. Women are the ones bearing their children and doing all the work, and that frees them up to make more money. Married men are seen as more responsible. So if the system is not automatically making sure you get something out of it, you need to make sure you automatically get something out of dating men. Because otherwise, all you're doing is giving. What you've done is taken on another job in your spare time. Only you're volunteering. You are volunteering to pay to make somebody else's life easier. And if that's not something you're interested in, don't do it. And don't come to me with all that love-dove nonsense. Yeah, he does give me something. He gives me love. According to science, love is not actually making your life better. Men love to say facts over feelings. So facts over feelings. Apparently these married women, just love is not enhancing their lifespan. And apparently men are not in relationships for love because they're getting all the tangible benefits. So all we're asking for is to benefit from the relationship as much as you do. It may not be in the same ways, but it needs to be equally tangible to make relationships worthwhile for women. And ladies, you have to enforce that for yourselves. You've seen that guy who's gone viral now for keeping a spreadsheet of the 10 men he's dating and what they're bringing to him and like how he's benefiting. You should be doing the same thing in your relationship. Keep a journal, keep a spreadsheet, whatever you need to do. That way you can just look at your relationship at a glance. Okay, it's been X many days since he's brought me flowers. It's been this long since he took me out to dinner. It's been this long since he bought me a gift. Like, what are you getting out of this situation? And I would recommend a slot for the emotional ups and downs of the relationship. How often are you fighting? How often is this person actually taking a burden off of you? Do you feel like he's listening when you talk about what's happening, not just in your relationship, but in your life? Don't be like one of these women who, they ask the man a question on the street. They can't even tell you the wife's birthday or the color of her eyes. Those men are just in relationships for service. If you were not doing for your male partner, would he still be there? If you get sick with a terminal disease or something like that, is he going to be taking care of you, or is he going to be ready to bounce? One of the 20% of men who abandon their terminally ill spouse because she's no longer able to be their caretaker. Just a little food for thought. Like and follow for more. People keep asking for a definition of a shut-up ring. A shut-up ring is a ring or proposal that a man gives you with the sole intent of buying time. He does not intend to fulfill the promise of a proposal. He's never going to marry you, but he's given you a ring to shut you up and keep you calm while he continues to get all the benefits that he wants from you. Either he's looking around for somebody else he wants to commit to, or he's trying to get his ducks in a row so he can leave you without suffering any penalty. I give a lot of the signs of a shut-up ring, and the reason I do that is because you don't want to get caught in that whirlpool. All it's going to do is waste your time. Most times the engagement's going to come to nothing, but on rare occasions the guy will actually marry you, but he's going to make you miserable because he never wanted to marry you. All he wanted to do was milk you for your free labor, and he's going to resent you like he's not the one who proposed. There are many telltale signs of a shut-up ring. You can check the playlist below for a complete accounting, but overall, there's just going to be a holding pattern. You will never advance beyond the proposal. There are going to be no wedding plans made, no date set. He's not going to be moving any closer to melding your lives together. If you don't live together, he's not going to make any steps to move closer to you unless, he wants to sleep with you more often. When people ask when you all are getting married, he's going to say, oh, that's a long ways off. Oh, we haven't thought that far ahead yet. Oh, that's in the future. He's going to get irritated with you if you ask anything about the wedding. Most of the time, there was no ceremony. He got you a cheap ring or no ring at all. There's lots of talk about upgrading it in the future, which will never come. Overall, he'll just be moving like a single man, not a man who's ready to be married. So I encourage you, if you spot any of these signs, to look back over the totality of your relationship and figure out if this is the person you even want to be married to. Do not settle for less. There is someone who wants to be married to you and treat you very well. Like and follow for more.
Chris actually ended our relationship for 8 months. And every night for 8 months, I would say out loud, I love you. I never thought I would ever hear it from him again.
And Lydia, despite having no hope of anything ever rekindling between us, stayed in contact, and she would even go out of her way to show ways that she was still thinking about me, still cared about me and all this stuff.
One day, I was driving and I got a text that said, would you like to go out with me again?
Absolutely not. Now, obviously, this is a shut-up ring, but I want to talk about why this one is particularly harmful. I need us to stop celebrating so-called love that comes only when the woman has been suffering. Because what's being uplifted in this moment? Not her virtues, not her kindness, not her heart, not her hobbies, not her joys, but her suffering. You were willing to put up with a bunch of nonsense, and that's essentially why he's chosen to marry you. And he says it, not me. Listen to his vows.
It's a challenging road to get us here, and I'm sorry that it has taken us so long. Thank you for being patient. I'm sorry that it's been hard. Thank you for not giving up on me. You have been for me and stood by me and loved me well, especially when I don't deserve it.
Now I have to emphasize, this is the cut of his wedding vows they put in their wedding video that they chose to put up. All I'm hearing is the glorification of her ability to be long-suffering. I don't know what she does for a living. I don't know what her favorite color is. What qualities does he love about you? Tell me about the intrinsic you that he loves, because all he's talked about is that you love him. What made this even more horrific is the fact that they have a child together. They weren't clear on the timeline of this child. I don't know if this was before or after their breakup, the original break, but it really doesn't matter. Nothing about that scenario is good because this child was at the altar with them. What is that teaching your child about your relationship, about what love is? Of course, now the comments on the original video are off, and I think I know why. I saw the video yesterday when it only had a few thousand views. Even then, it had hundreds of comments, and they were split 50-50 down the middle. Half were women saying, oh man, I hope this happens for me and my ex. I just know we're meant to be together. Oh, I want your love story. I want your happy ending. And the other half were women saying, is this really the end? Let's say 40%. 40% were women saying, is this really the end of the story? Because I had this happen to me. The guy came back and we got married or whatever. And then one woman said within a year, he had left again and we got a divorce. A lot of women, it was a breakup. Yeah, he changed his mind again. But the common denominator was the theme. I was just the person he came back to because he knew he could. He knew I would always be there. He knew I was just going to be waiting for him. And so he took up with me when he didn't, have access to the woman he really wanted. It didn't all work out. That was not happily ever after. It was just a bump in the road. And then in the end, we did not stay together. And then the remaining 10% was women saying this is super embarrassing, which did seem kind of mean. But here's the thing. All of those hundreds of women, girls really saying, I hope this happens for me and my ex. That's equally problematic. Like, that's the problem with stories like this. It teaches girls that this kind of love is something to want. The truth is, you should never have to beg anybody to see your worth. And furthermore, your worth in a relationship should not be solely tied to how much you do for the other person. It does sound like he wanted someone or something else and went out into the world, didn't get it, and said, I know I can always come back. I just love how she loves me. And that was the boost he wanted at that time. What about somebody who loves you for you? Who loves your quirky habits, who knows all your favorite songs, who, wants to get up and make you your favorite breakfast? What about someone who loves you for your personality? We have to stop glorifying loving women for their labor, because that's not love. That's he loves your utility. Not even loves, enjoys. But what about when you're no longer useful? Stories like this, where the guy says, yeah, she hung around, she was down for me, she was ride or die, she did everything, and that's why I said, yeah, I'm gonna make this one my wife, because she did so much for me. What happens when your usefulness is worn out? If you get sick, if you have a difficult pregnancy, if you get a bad diagnosis, if you're in a car accident, if you can't have sex for a year or more, where is that love going to be? If you can no longer serve, will he still love you? I want to be clear. Nothing I'm saying is directed at this young woman. She has made her choices, and she was always going to make this choice. 8 months in, she was still saying, I love you every night, hoping, praying, believing, and it got her what she wanted. And I hope that it turns out to be all that she wanted. I hope that they have a long and happy marriage. But to all the unmarried women, I am saying to really think on this and think about whether or not it is right for you. This isn't as black and white as the viral vows that are, nasty, where the guy's insulting or belittling to his bride. This man, Chris, did all the right things. He cried when she walked down the aisle, seemed genuinely moved to tears at the emotional parts of the service, said he was honored to be her husband and the father of their children. All very lovely. And I hope they do have a long and happy marriage. But I'm asking you, unmarried women, on your wedding day, do you want to be crying, remembering the past out of sadness? You want to remember a past that hurt? Or do you want somebody who was always 100% sure you were the one? I'm not talking about like natural cold feet. Yes, I'm sure everybody has a little struggle the day before or the months leading up to the wedding. Like, oh, it's forever. Marriage is hard. Maybe it's too soon, something like that. But I'm talking about wanting to be with you. Do you want someone who always wanted to be with you and never waffled about that? Like, how high up on that is your list of priorities? What do you want your future spouse to praise about you, to other people and to you at the altar? What do you want him to love about you? Now is the time to think of these things. I wish everyone listening a holistic love with someone who loves you to the moon and back for who you are intrinsically and not what you do. Like and follow for more.
128. 128. That's all it takes.
Not all it takes.
And what's your excuse?
I haven't found anyone to marry.
Unfortunately, there's a level even lower than women who get a shut-up ring, and that's women who couldn't even get one. This woman is standing here begging for a $100 ring, and this man says, oh, I haven't found anyone I want to marry. He's telling you, obviously, that he does not want you. But why is he doing that? Because he knows there's no consequence for it. I'm guessing he said the same thing many times before and you haven't done anything about it. You continue to give him your body, your time, your energy, your effort without him having to invest anything. So why would he even toss you a $100 ring when you don't demand it? The function of a shut up ring is to shut you up. It's to hush you. He won't even invest money shutting you up if you're not making any noise. Girl, stand up. But this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and it's going to hurt some of y'all's feelings, but I hope it helps you to grow. Stop blaming love for your stupid decisions, okay? Love has nothing to do with it because this man doesn't even like you, so you cannot ever convince me that you were in love with him. This is nothing but resistance. It could be that somebody, your mother, your friends, anyone, warned you away from this guy and you don't want them to be right, so you're resisting doing what you know you have to do and breaking up with him. I know a girl like that. She
became estranged from her parents all over this high school boyfriend. And she was convinced that she was going to marry this guy and that he really loved her. And because she had invested so much, because she had fallen out with her parents and never spoken to them again over this high school boyfriend, she was convinced she had to make this relationship work. And she tolerated cheating, disrespect, outside children, everything. And he never married her. After a decade and a baby, he left her for somebody else. You cannot invest time, ladies. You can only waste it. If you see things have gone awry and he's not who you thought he was, he's never going to live up to the hype. You need to turn away and chart a new course, okay? Time is a precious resource. It's the only thing on earth we can never get more of. We cannot make more. And I know a lot of you think if you just keep lowering the bar, one day he will reach it. It just shows him how little you respect yourself. It just shows him how much he doesn't have to invest to be with you. Please stop operating off of what you wish men were like and operate off of how they actually are. Men want to be challenged. They want to have to fight for the woman they want to be with. They want to have to invest. They want to go broke. Have you seen that guy on here saying he's going to achieve financial ruin if he's in love? Men enjoy spending money on the women they desire. That's why they lead with money. If he's refusing to spend money on you, telling him he can have you for free or cheap is not making him value you more. He's not saying, oh, she's down. Oh, she's a ride or die. He's saying she's an idiot. And all he's doing is saving the money he's not spending on you to spend on another woman. Or God forbid, taking your money to spend on another woman. Something else I've seen happen repeatedly. While you're telling him we're in this together and let me carry you while you're, finding your way, finding your career, finding your passion, he is taking that money you're giving him and he is paying another woman's bills, the woman he actually does value. But back to this not being love. Some of you all need to work on your self-esteem, because for a man to be able to say this to your face and first of all live is crazy, but that you remain in a relationship and continue to beg him is insane. She doesn't even break pause. She just goes right back to begging him for a ring as soon as he says that. It's like she doesn't hear it. Enough of anything is enough. Ladies, it's okay and sometimes necessary to take an extended pause from the dating game, because it is unnatural to be fighting for a man's love. If this is a dynamic you find yourself in often, it probably has nothing to do with the men in question and everything to do with unresolved issues. I've known women who said, oh my goodness, that, up and down, that emotion roller coaster is very similar to the relationships they had with their fathers. And that's why the cycle was so addictive. You might need to go to therapy. You might need to do some journaling and unpack those things before you are ready to have a happy, healthy, successful relationship. Or maybe because of your heritage, maybe you are the daughter of immigrants, maybe you've had to fight for everything in your life. You feel like love is the same and, it's not for real unless you had to work extra hard to get it. That's not how it works. Somebody should be working hard. The man, he should be pursuing you, but you should never be in any doubt about his feeling towards you. But this is why I'm always on you all about deadlines and boundaries. It's not that I'm saying one size fits all, whatever, but it's too easy to say every couple is different and use it as a guise to let men waste your time. Every couple is different, but I don't know of any couple where the man actually wants to be with the woman, where he's making her wait for years on end, where he won't even buy her a $50 piece of jewelry. No. But even if such a thing were possible, is that the relationship you really want? Are you saying every couple is different to justify a relationship that nobody else would want? You deserve so much more than that. And finally, the last thing people are going to say to justify this is, oh, it was a skit. It was just pretend. I wouldn't even want a man who would play like this. No man who loved you and who valued you at all would even agree to do something that would humiliate you like this as a quote joke. That's it. Like and follow for more. So I'm sure you've seen this trend going around. Lots of women asking their boyfriends how many likes for them to propose. It's really been invading the timelines recently. But of course, I'm sure my followers know never to do this. But here's why you should never do it. The number is often very high and exorbitant for a reason. Take this guy, boyfriend of 11 years and 3 kids. How many likes would it take for him to propose? What do you think he says? 1 million. 1 million likes is outrageous. I say that as someone who regularly goes viral. It's not going to happen. And here's why they're keeping it so high and so artificial. This woman asked her boyfriend of 8.5 years and also several children together how many likes for him to propose, and he says 2 million. And then he starts backpedaling She's like, okay, 2 million. He's like, oh, well, I don't know. What if I say 2 million and then we hit 2 million? What happens then? He's hesitant because he doesn't want to marry her. He was never going to marry her. Saying 2 million was a shot at getting an artificially high goal that she could probably never meet. But he also knows things go viral all the time and she might need it. And then what's his excuse gonna be? These guys just want to keep you on the hook. Guys, if it's been more than a year, especially if you are good and grown, if you are a person in your 30s who lives on your own and pays bills and it's been over a year, he doesn't want you. If you have a child or children with him and he has never proposed, he does not want you. A man who was serious about you would have been on bended knee as soon as you said the words, I'm pregnant. If he didn't do it, he doesn't care about you. I will die on that hill. I'm sorry if you don't like hearing it. How many examples do we have to see before we finally get the message, guys? Men know right away who they want to marry, and it doesn't take a TikTok, scenario. It doesn't take a pregnancy. It doesn't take a scare. It doesn't take any kind of emergency for them to know that they're serious about you. But the reason men will propose after those things is because they are, settling. They're like, okay, fine. I'm stuck now. I'm in it now. I can't do better for now, but they're never engaged. And these shut up rings turn into shut up marriages. They turn into, you being a placeholder wife because he was never excited about you. So try to spot these things in the dating period. If he's ambivalent, if he's taking his own sweet time about commitment, if in every single stage it has been a struggle, because shut up rings don't just come into be on their own. They start with a shut up title. How long were you dating before you officially became the girlfriend? I bet it was a long ass time. A woman I know who has a shut up ring only got it after 5 years. She had to agree to get married at the courthouse with no ceremony and everything like that. But I knew it was going to be a shut up ring because of the way the relationship started out. The guy insisted on things being open for a year when they just started dating. I was like, he's not serious about you. He doesn't want you, but she wouldn't listen. No, he's just not ready to settle down yet. Mind you, he was over 40. What is there not ready? Why are you still keeping your options open? Because he does not want you. But you let him play in your face, and surprise, surprise, it's been a decade still playing in your face. But that's a story for another time. But back to that last guy. Do you see him? He's like, oh my goodness, eager beaver. Eager beaver? Sir, it has been almost a decade. But men like this, you can tell they don't want to marry you because they always claim it's a rush. It doesn't matter if it's been 2 years or 10 years. They're like, oh, what are you in such a hurry for? We have our whole lives together. Oh, we have all the time in the world. They're always telling you there's more and more time, but they always have another excuse about why they can't commit to you today. This man is never going to marry her. Don't let this be you, ladies. Like and follow for more. The biggest sign of a shut-up ring is any kind of prank, especially at the altar, but anytime during your wedding day or during the proposal. This is not a time for jokes. And think about this. He can plan to embarrass you in front of all your family and friends on what's supposed to be the most special day of your life. Did he plan you a nice wedding day gift? This guy spent all this time pranking his vows. Did he ever write her a love letter? Did he put that same kind of care and consideration into making the day special as he did into trying to humiliate her? And here's why it's especially insulting. What men fear most is being laughed at. As in the famous Margaret Atwood quote, men fear that women will laugh at them while we fear that men will kill us. It's not news that men fear humiliation. We all know one guy who's still bitter that some girl rejected his advances in middle school. We know guys constantly are making TV, movies, other media about getting revenge on that girl who said no and embarrassed him in front of everybody. Men are terrified of being laughed at. So if he will set you up to be the target of laughter, he really does not care about you. Men who love you are never going to hold you up to shame. They're going to protect you from those who would hurt you, not be the one doing the hurting. And for all those who say it's just a joke, there are lots of ways to get a laugh that don't involve humiliating your spouse. These people pranked their guests by pretending to knock over their wedding cake. This is a fake, and they're bringing out another brand new one. You and your spouse are supposed to be a team, so have a lighthearted laugh at the audience expense, not each other's.
Me and Megan are expecting. To have a good time tonight.
Look at that. Nobody's humiliated. It's a fun little joke. Day's complete. That last joke makes you a team. This joke makes the bride a target. And why would you be doing that to the woman you supposedly love? Like and follow for more. This couple's having a gorgeous upscale wedding at Lake Como, and this man starts spraying her with champagne like, he's just won the Super Bowl or something like that. This is right up there with wedding pranks. This man is too immature to be getting married in this beautiful venue if he doesn't know this is not the time nor the place. But I have two theories on this. This man looks young. He is giving me frat boy vibes. He never grew up. Prefrontal cortex not developed. And it also seems like he's never won anything before in his life. So he's got this beautiful bride, everybody's giving them all this attention, but everybody is giving them, especially her, all of this attention. He wants the attention on himself. Look, when he's first opening the champagne, what's everybody saying? Be careful.
Look out for the cake!
What part of don't spray this on the cake sounds like spray it on the bride? But she's in a beautiful white dress and he conflates her with every woman who's just there after a man's big victory. The cheerleaders at the Super Bowl, the ladies at the F1 track. He said, this is my big moment. I just won something. I should spray the girl who's at my side. And it's crazy because once again, people are feigning ignorance. Oh my God, well, he just got excited. He's a golden retriever. He doesn't know better. He didn't know better than to spray champagne on a woman in a gown that cost thousands of dollars and, pristine makeup. People told him not to spray this fruit tart of a cake that probably cost maybe $1,000. So he didn't know not to spray the bride? You gotta be kidding me. But a lot of people say it's not malicious because look, once the crowd screamed at him, he stopped spraying, he gave her something to drink, even offered her the opportunity to spray him back. That doesn't mean it wasn't malicious, it just means he wasn't getting the response he wanted from the crowd. Everything he did was dependent on the reaction of the crowd. The crowd screams, don't get the champagne on the cake. He's very careful not to get it on the cake. He starts spraying it, they're with him, and then he starts spraying it on her. They say stop, and he stops. It's all about attention, getting attention for himself. The crowd suggested that she spray him back, and he went with it. He seems more concerned with being good entertainment than honoring his wedding day. Last thing, people are always arguing, oh, the man just got excited. He couldn't help it. It was an accident. How come in their excitement, they're never damaging their own property or look? The guy never gets so excited he smashes cake into his own face or, ruins his wedding clothes. I wonder why. It's because it wasn't excitement. It was intent. Look out for the signs, ladies. Like and follow for more. So what we always hear about these kinds of cake shoving videos is that it's just a joke. After this bride very clearly says, do not shove the cake in my face, the groom holds her down and quite forcefully shoves this cake in her face, to which she decides to just walk out of the reception. And the groom later responds, she's completely overreacting. It's just a joke. It's just for laughs. Yeah, let me explain that joke to you. Here's how the joke is supposed to go. You as the woman are supposed to be a very passive participant in the cake smushing. It's supposed to be a humiliation ritual of you. You're supposed to be the one getting embarrassed, and it's very one-sided. It's supposed to be a hearty laugh at your expense, which is why when women smush the cake first, things like this tends to happen. She got a laugh from the crowd and he throws the entire cake at her because you're the only one who's supposed to be humiliated. It's not a joke if you do it to him and you get a laugh from the crowd. And you may say that's an isolated incident. That's one silly guy. But no, it's happened a few times. It's supposed to be just a laugh, supposed to be just a joke, but she gets a laugh from the crowd and then here comes the violence. I mean, this guy damaged her nose. She's on the floor. For me, it is the violence the men are holding these women down with. They are fighting back. The women are saying, don't stop, let me go. And, people, I guess his friends are laughing in the crowd. The woman is fighting for her life and the guy continues to grab her to smush cake. And the reason for the force is because it was never a joke. The guy might be laughing in front of everyone, but he's getting off on your humiliation. He is enjoying hurting you. This is most likely a shut up ring turned wedding. And, you know, he wants to show everyone how much he despises you on your special day. Don't let it get to this point, ladies. If he's dragging his feet, you know, go back and watch all the signs of a shut up ring. But if he wasn't an excited and enthusiastic participant before the wedding, he's not going to change afterwards.
I have been married for 1 year, together with my husband for 9 years. And we always used to get the when you're getting married bullshit. Listen to me, this is the hill that I will die on, okay? You can know you want to marry somebody within 2 years, within 2 weeks, 2 months. That doesn't mean you should get married. You should not get married until your relationship has been tested.
Absolutely not. You don't have to cosplay marriage to know if you want to marry someone or if you're going to marry someone. I think a lot of people struggle with this one because it sounds so reasonable. Well, yeah, I do want to see how you're going to handle different situations. First of all, marriage is not a preset obstacle course. You can't train for it because you don't know what's coming or when. Everything that she listed, my parents have been through, with the exception of being in an interracial marriage or moving across the country. But they have had sick parents, both of them, that they were the primary caretakers for. They have had sick kids, job loss, calamity, but you don't know how or when it's coming. Just for reference, my parents are high school sweethearts who got married at 20 and 22, okay? But their parents didn't get sick until 20 plus years later. My mother was over 40 when she was the primary caretaker for her father, and my dad was an amazing partner to her through that. But were they supposed to wait decades to find out how somebody was going to handle that situation? I'm going to tell you what the happily married men in enviable marriages have told me, like my father. They knew right away, and they were ready to lock their wives down immediately. My parents met in high school. My dad proposed on the third date. According to him, he saw a light shine down from heaven. When he saw my mother in the hallway, he said, "That's my wife." And his determination never wavered. All of this, I have to see how you handle these situations. It's an excuse to keep you in a holding pattern. Oh, I don't want to marry you until I've seen you in all 4 seasons of life, until I've seen you in the trenches. I need you to build with me for 10, 20 years first to make sure you're really down for me. What the hell are you talking about? First of all, you're assuming it's going to work out. What if it doesn't? This woman says she was with her husband for 9 years and then they got married. And I'm so happy for her. I'm happy it worked out for her. But a lot of women follow this advice and hold him down for a decade and don't get married. And then you have nothing to show for it. All that you've invested into the relationship emotionally, financially, spiritually is for nothing. If you built a business with him and his name is the only one on it, you have no legal claim to any of that stuff. You get no return on your investment. You have built him up for the next woman, and it's just an excuse. He's making you prove yourself. Oh, I gotta know what you're like, this, that, and then third. And then he goes and marries somebody without nearly that level of investment. He marries the next girl after 6 months. It was never about you showing how down you were or whatever. He was uncertain about you. He was trying to see if he could do better, and you let him improve himself on your time. Now, if you're saying, I have things to lose, I really want to see what they're like too, guess what? You don't have to cosplay marriage to know how someone's going to behave in certain situations. Right now, today, is he faithful at his job? How long has he had his current position? Has he done the things he said he was going to do? Has he been consistently improving himself over time? You know, did he say he was going to go to law school and he did it and he finished and now he's a lawyer who passed the bar? Or is he a pipe dreamer who's been talking about what he was going to do and never accomplished a goal? Is he reliable right now with his friends and his family? How invested is he in the circle that he has? Is he plugged into a community? Is he volunteering? You know, like, you can look at how somebody acts in the rest of their life to know how they're going to be in a marriage. You don't have to move in with them and cosplay marriage to know that. Is he moving with integrity right now? Do you trust him right now? Is he a liar right now? Back to the time commitment, after 18 months of cohabitation, your chance of ever getting a proposal drops precipitously. And cohabitation makes you less likely to ever marry and much more likely to divorce, even if you do. This is a dangerous argument precisely because it sounds somewhat reasonable. But I don't care how long you live with someone, there's no preparing for the challenges of marriage. This is a true story. During Hurricane Katrina, a tree fell on our house. Like, you could see the sky from inside. I'm from the South, but I'm not from New Orleans, so no, it wasn't a wet storm. It was a dry storm where we were, but it was very windy. So a tree falls on our house. You can see outside from the inside, and at the time, my parents had a baby, and my grandfather, who my mother's father, was elderly, and he was living with us. So we had an elderly man, a baby, and no power for 2 weeks because all the power lines were down because of the incredible windy storm. And this was coming off of Hurricane Wilma, which had also knocked the power out for 2 weeks. My parents had to figure out how to navigate that in the moment. No amount of living together beforehand would have prepared them for that. And again, just a reference, my parents are high school sweethearts. My mother was told by her parents she could not get married until she graduated college. She graduated college early, 1 week, and then she got married the next week. The woman was 20 years old when they got married. So she went from living in a dorm to, living with her husband. She never cohabitated pre-marriage. She never saw him through all the seasons of life. She never experimented. She never whatever, but she knew he was going to be a good husband from how he carried himself in all other aspects of his life. When my grandfather, my mother's father, would go to the hospital, people thought my father was his son because of how faithful and how caring he was. He actually called my maternal grandfather Dad. My dad lost jobs and changed careers a couple of times. He was a master electrician, and then the subprime mortgage crisis of 2008 hit, and where we live, construction ground to a halt. To this day, you can see half-finished buildings in our city that never recovered their funding, and he had to find something else to do. He had to go back to school, and my mother was right there through all of it, and he was still working faithfully through all of it. He would take any job he could get, but my mother knew he would operate like that from before because of how he always was. He was always a man of integrity. While she was in college, he was in the Navy. He always followed through on his word. If he said he was going to call, he called. He wrote letters. He sent audio tapes so she could hear his voice. This was the 80s after all. He was a good son. He was a good friend. He was responsible in all of his dealings. She saw how he operated and she said, this is a man I can trust. This is just me talking, but if somebody wanted me to wait almost a decade for the ultimate commitment, I would be less likely to trust them, not more. And again, this is no shade, no tea to this creator, but just the concept that you have to prove yourself or you have to go through the hard times with somebody to know if you're really going to get married. Let me tell you something, marriage is the hard time. You just don't know what's coming. Though both of my parents' fathers passed much later in life after, needing care and whatnot, their mothers passed almost immediately into their marriage. Very quick, unexpected. Both of them died incredibly young. For my grandmother, my mother's mother, there was no long illness. There was no, care, whatever. It was immediate, sudden. Right after you get married, it's like, how are you going to handle that? An unexpected situation. Time is the most precious resource we have, and as we get older, we have far less of it to waste. I can't have somebody hanging around with no legal commitment, no binding thing on paper, no rights, no protection for us if the deal goes down, talking about I have to see how you are. Because the truth is, if you ask men if they would marry Beyonce, Rihanna, Anya Taylor-Joy, or, whoever, Zendaya today, oh yeah, it's no hesitation. And it's not just how those women look, it's their resources. So he's basically saying he has to test you because he doesn't know if you're good enough. He doesn't know if he can do better. He would marry those other women because that's the best in the world. He can't do any better than that. If he's hesitating and you have to prove yourself, show your value, it's because he doesn't actually want you. I don't want that shut up ring. I don't want a ring I had to prove myself for. I want someone who knows right away, who's ready to jump into the fire right away because they're equally committed. They know that I'm the one that they've been looking for and they don't want anyone else. I mean, put this in another context. Would you go take a job where they're like, oh, well, we want to give you a title eventually, but you have to prove yourself for years first. You have to do all the work of the job without getting the pay raise or the title of the job. But you have to show us you can do the work before you get it. You'd be like, get the fuck out of here. You'll know I can do the job when you see me doing it. So here are my qualifications in hand, and you either like the qualifications well enough to hire me or you don't. But you're not going to get the labor without giving me the compensation. Same thing here. Same thing here. That's all. Like and follow for more.
Thank you ladies so much for making it to the end of the video, and I want to know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you know anyone that's received a shut up ring? Have you yourself been proposed to? Are you hoping to get married, or are you just happy being single and being a part of the 4B movement? Thank you so much again to all of the new subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? It's literally free. I'm just kidding, but thank you so much, and tune in next time for a new video.